Hey, this Omar, and just a quick thoughts on who going to win the AFC West this year in 2022. Just a quick rundown of the teams, and just my quick take on it. The Broncos. We'll start with them. You know what I'm saying? The addition of Russell Wilson, as well as the coach. Russell Wilson comes to a team that, had Javonte Williams and Melvin Gordon, solid halfbacks. Uh, uh actually, the grouping is like the better running backs of the division. Especially if you ranking out of the four. Wide receivers, they coming in with Cortland Sutton and Jared Judy, and then KJ Hamler's coming back. So we'll see how they implement him. Maybe he'll get the touches that Patrick was supposed to get. And then they got the tight end dude that's like underrated, but he made some plays for him. I can't really say his name, but number 85, everybody should know, who he is, and or if not, they will know about him. And the offensive line is okay. You know what I'm saying? I don't say it's not at the it's not the top of the division, but it is okay. You know what I'm saying? That might be one of their weaknesses, as far as it could get better, but we'll see as the season progresses how it looks. Now they're running the 3-4 defense. They added Randy Gregory, and hopefully that can like maybe free up the rotation of the blocks that was going towards Bradley Chubb. And then Bronco fans is probably hoping that this year is the year that Chubb have that monster year and whatnot. So we'll see. But so far it's kind of like he's been okay. But they let go of Von Miller, hoping that he's ready to make that next step. And so with Gregory there, that should help him out as far as like possibly if he doesn't, then Gregory has the opportunity to be that top dog as far as the pass rushing. Now the secondary is definitely solid, one of the better ones of the division. You got Pat Surtain, definitely headed to all pro status. Safeties, very respectable, Kareem Jackson and Justin Simmons. You know what I'm saying? Like, Justin Simmons is a straight beast. If people don't know about him, they should take a look at some of the games. He definitely is somebody that's you're going to see flashing off your screen. And the only weak link probably is Ronald Darby. He's cool, he's solid, but I mean, out of that pairing, he's kind of the weaker of the bunch. You know what I'm saying? So then now we go to the Raiders, Las Vegas Raiders. Derek Carr, you got the addition of Josh McDaniels. And so we'll see how he, this second go around of being a coach, see how he implements his offense and see how Derek Carr flourishes. Josh Jacobs is solid. We don't know if he's gonna, what style of offense they're gonna, run. They might be a physical offense, so this might be a year that Jacobs have a bounce back. I'm surprised they didn't keep Drake, but maybe he didn't fit into the scheme, or maybe he was asking for too much. Who knows? Now that receiving core is pretty solid. You got Devontae Adams, stud. There's not really much that you need to say about him. Hunter Renfrow, underrated, making a lot of plays that people don't really pay attention to, but he be moving the chains. And then Darren Waller, with the addition of Adams, he's going to get a lot more one-on-one coverage. And so Waller and Renfrow definitely should have better years just because of the attention that Adams is going to command. Now you go, offensive line is, kind of a little weaker. And so it's kind of one of their weaknesses as far as an overall team. You got Max Crosby only having 8 sacks, but his 8 sacks ain't he does more than just what the stat sheet shows. So just because he had 8 sacks, he's always having QB pressures at critical moments in during the game, and that's why that's how they were able to win a lot of games. Like he was able to do some plays on third down and fourth down that changed the complexion of the game. With the addition of Chandler Jones, he had 10.5 sacks last year. Kind of not as much as you would think because he had 5 sacks in week 1 and then had 5.5 for the rest of the year. So I don't know if he had an injury or he just like like ran out of gas and all. He's getting up there in age, but it's still the addition of him. I still think he'll be reinvigorated, and it should be a nice complimentary piece to Crosby. Now we'll see about Kellen Farrell. He's been in the league for a while, but he's saying that the fact that they're switching the defenses, he feels that to the 4-3, it might be more suited to his skill set. He only had a just a sack and a half, and career wise 8. So maybe this might be the year that he actually shows anything, and if not, then maybe he's just going to be leaning more towards the bust status. Now their secondary is like pretty young. They don't really have. You got Rock Ya-Sin. He's the vet of the crew, but the secondary is like one of the weaker ones out of the division. So out of both of their weaknesses probably going to be their offensive line and their secondary. And so, that ties up the Raiders. Now, Kansas City, Pat Mahomes, ain't much you need to say about him. Definitely, in MVP talk every single season. He does his thing and whatnot. Running backs, you got Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and he's solid. And the guy I'll be thinking and wondering how come they don't get more involved in the offense is Jerick McKinnon. He's finally, I think, he showed a little bit of burst in the postseason. Didn't really get a super ton of touches, but he has potential to maybe be a game changer for them if they try to incorporate him into the offense or at least the running game. Now, the additions of, on the receiving end is going to be like, how do you replace Tyreek Hill? Can you do it in one season? And so, the additions of Juju Smith-Schuster, MVS, and McCole Hardman, you know what I'm saying? If you were doing betting odds, you probably lean more towards Hardman because this is the offense he's kind of more familiar with. And so he probably has a potential to, blossom into, that number one out of the group. But, is yet to be determined. And they got Sky Moore, the rookie. We'll see how many touches they choose to, how they choose to use them and stuff. We didn't see much in the preseason and whatnot. So, it's a wait and see as far as he go. And then you got Travis Kelce, also a dog, a top tight end on the trajectory to being a Hall of Famer. The offensive line anchored by Orlando Brown Jr., solid. Definitely was a good addition a couple of years back. And so, we should see how the offensive line continues to grow. Now, KC's defense is pretty young. They also is like with the Raiders as far as like a young defense. Chris Jones is definitely the All-Pro, and Frank Clark. We'll see like if Frank Clark can resemble some of the old Frank Clark and whatnot. A sneaky pickup that people might not have paid attention to was the Carlos Dunlap pickup. Right now they got him. If you look at the depth chart, they have him as a backup. But I think that if they give him his opportunities, he might overtake Frank Clark. You know what I'm saying? I really feel that he's going to do his thing. Like, I'm surprised he keeps getting shipped from team to team because he's a solid dude to hold that whatever side that he, whether he's the right end or the left end, but he definitely holds it down. And so I'm surprised he always is floating around, but from team to team. But it is definitely going to help KC out for sure. Now, secondary is we going to all take a look at it because Honey Badger was, a guy that, brought some sort of, you know, toughness to the secondary. Even though the defense gave up yards situationally, they would be able to lock shit down or whatever. And so losing him, I know we're gonna see that's gonna be it's gonna be something. You can't just say like you just let them go and just you gonna let the young kids like, show us what they got. So as far as secondary, they're in the same boat as far as the Raiders, as far as going to be inexperienced. So they probably going to give up some plays and maybe cost them a couple of games that maybe you didn't think they was going to lose, but just because of the inexperience, that it's gonna be some growing pains for sure. Now we follow last up is the Chargers. Justin Herbert also on that trajectory of possibly having a MVP type of season, and then he's also commanding the offense. You got Eckler, underrated as far as putting up stats, and sometimes people don't really pay attention to him because they don't really say he's a top 10 back, but he definitely puts up numbers affecting the game on a week-to-week basis. The wide receivers, you got Allen Williams, definitely studs. The third and fourth receivers is Josh Palmer and Guyton. Those are the ones that take the top off the defense every other week or from week to week. You never know with them, depending on if they call their number. Sneaky pickup they did was Everett from the Rams. He's a lot faster than people think, and so he's going to be able to pose a lot of mismatches for the offense from week to week. They have, without a doubt, the best offensive line in the division. It's not even no argument. So it's like he has that wall to where he's not going to get hit or touched as much as, say, the other guys. And now you go into the defense. You got the addition of Joseph Day. His job, him and Tillery job is just to soak up the block so Khalil Mack and Bosa can do their thing. Now, Khalil Mack, maybe, he's at 31 years of age. This could be he can have a season kind of like how Von Miller had for the Rams last year, possibly. And then you got Van Noy, a solid dude in the inside, does his job. Not really shows. It doesn't really show on the stat sheet, but he's a solid pro everywhere he goes. You know what I'm saying? He does his job well, and like you can't really complain too much about how he's I guess he's calling the defenses and stuff like that, getting everybody in position. So I like that look as far as the interior, as far as the backers. And so now you go to the secondary. The secondary is just as good as the Broncos, may possibly be even better. You know what I'm saying? You got J.C. Jackson, the addition from New England. He just got to recover from his ankle injury, and then we'll see how he is in the Charger defensive scheme. You got James, definitely an all-pro. Adderley, he do his job, and Asante Samuel Jr., another guy that's solid, definitely been blossoming ever since he came into the league. And then the slot corner is Bryce Callahan, you know what I'm saying, man in the slot. That's another guy that, he hasn't played a whole season yet, but I think that he's a cool addition to that secondary. And so, running through all the teams in that AFC West, my take is I think that the Chargers are going to win the division with a 12-5 record. And then number 2 is going to be the Broncos at 11-6. And then 10-7, I'm jumbling between KC and the Raiders. And so I'm right now, as of today, I'm saying it's probably Kansas City to be 10-7, and then the Raiders coming in at 9-8. But It can all switch depending on if it's a significant injury to a main component of the offense. But that's how I see the division playing out. And I definitely see that it's, like with that record, it's going to be 3 people representing out of the AFC West in the playoffs. And yeah, that's just my quick take on the AFC West. And so yeah, let me know your thoughts. And thank you for listening. All right, I'll talk with you.